Hey everybody, how you doing? It's good to see you. I'm Dr. Nick. Hello everybody. So welcome to the sorry state of JCM Berne. It's so sad what's happened to Joe. So the origin of this is Joe did a Twitter post a couple of days ago that was, I tried recording a State of the Berne video and it felt a bit whiny and self-centered. I might give it another go in a day or two. So I decided to go, hey, Joe, you want me to help?
It's hard to talk about ourselves in public, right? Like I don't do videos where I'm like, this is what I did. I do videos where I'm like talking about some topic, right?
Right.
And that's all my YouTube channel is. It's me. It's almost giving a lecture about some bookish issue. You know, what makes a good review. It's not about me or only if it is, it's only a little bit. So I actually talked about myself for 20 minutes on a video, and I was like, I felt like a jerk. Like who talks about, you know? And then, but I'm like, but I promised people a State of the Berne. I don't know why I decided to do a State of the Berne video. I thought it'd be hilarious because, you know,
it will be. Don't worry about it.
Because it's like, well, you know, we've got hundreds of thousands of people caring about what Brandon Sanderson's up to and how many secret books he's written, and we do not have that for me. So, I'm like, well, gosh darn it. I'm going to make a video even if no one cares.
Oh, was that part of it? Did you feel like, why am I doing this? Who gives a damn?
I don't think that's what bothered me while recording. I really just felt like I'm just talking about me for 20 minutes, like, and it felt odd. I don't know.
I can talk about you for 20 minutes. That's not a problem.
Very kind.
This is Joe. Joe's fantastic. We like Joe. We like his books. We like talking to him.
Bernie Sanders impression? I don't think I can. I'm not good at impressions. You know, my great regret in life is I grew up in Brooklyn. Like you know this, Andy. Like Saturday Night Fever, right? That was my neighborhood.
Okay. Oh.
Right. So like I grew up and I saw those films, and I wanted to be John Travolta so bad, and I can't even fake the Brooklyn you remember Welcome Back, Kotter?
Yeah. Mr. Catfish.
Yeah. I mean, that was John Travolta's kind of breakout.
Yeah.
This was in that show. And my dad went to that school. So they filmed the, in the opening credits, there's like an elementary school or whatever it is. That's my dad's school, right? Those are my roots.
Welcome back.
I can't even fake the accent. I never quite got it, and it breaks my heart because I would love to pull out John Travolta from Saturday Night Fever and just talk like that, and I can't do it.
Well, we need a Bernie Sanders impression. Go.
This is my talent. I don't know what my talents are, but that impressions are not on.
Free stuff for everybody. Done.
I don't know. I have free stuff you guys can get. I've accumulated free stuff this year to give away.
Isn't that the point of a BookTube video, being whiny and
self-centered? Sometimes I try not to be. I actually refilmed another video because I was getting whiny about it, and so instead of talking about my own books, I used Sadir's book, The Crew, as my example in the video, so I could whine about someone else being mistreated instead of whining about me being mistreated, which always sounds better,
nice,
more altruistic, right? Same point. How if you have a book has a lot of superficial like aesthetic value, like it's funny and stuff, right? People sometimes overlook if there's any kind of deeper meaning to it because it was funny, and then they don't think, was there more to it than the humor or the action, right? It can happen with both.
I'm with John on this one. I am once again asking you to buy Wistful Ascending. I know you've already bought it.
I
5 or 6 copies. You've handed them out to people at your school, your church, your local
more. If you buy the rest of the series, I actually make more money. And if I can get just 10,000 people to buy the rest of the series, I can get the BMW Z4 M40i that I've been dreaming of.
Yes, that is the goal.
I don't know why that would help anyone else, but...
So, folks, if we want to get Joe into that BMW today, we can do it. All you need to do is get in touch with 10,000 of your close personal friends,
right,
and let them know tonight that
like
they need to buy Wistful Ascending.
The worst PBS pledge drive ever help Joe get a convertible? I told you about the convertible, right? How I was watching, and I showed it to my mom. My mom said, "But Joe, that's the kind of car older balding men who are like getting potbellies drive to feel like they're young and sexy again." I'm like, "Mom, that's me. Yeah, that is my, I am the target audience for a BMW convertible." Like,
oh, honey, you're still 15. It's okay.
when she's your mom, like that attitude happens, and that's
Yeah.
fine.
It's like the oldest you'll ever get with your mom is 15. It's just because she started hating you at 16, so she just stopped the year before that.
I think it might have been younger than that for me, but I don't know. I feel seen.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, this is the first social anything I've done since this summer. Because I'm just like, I don't know what I want to talk about. I don't know who is going to want to see it, and I've just been swamped. I've been just like trying to write.
You've been
right?
working.
And it's just like work. There aren't enough hours in the day. So you gave me an excuse. Oh, John feels seen.
That's nice. What's in the cup, Andy?
What's Hey, it's Brad Bolin. I love Brad Bolin. He's fantastic.
Britton, you should read Legend of Blackjack. It's a lovely book. There are more to come. Well, not Legend of Blackjack books, but
Brad knows exactly what's in the cup. It's all vodka all the time.
I'm not drinking too much today because I feel like I'm going to drink too much tomorrow.
Yeah. So what are the New Year's Eve plans?
I mean, not a lot. Like, I've reached that point where we're just like, should we stay up to watch the ball drop, or should we just go to bed and have a decent night's sleep? And we tend to do that.
Really?
But we're going out for dinner at a Mexican place nearby that's supposed to be very good. And then we have a good friend of ours, but more of my wife's, is having a party at her house. So we're going to go there and see how long that lasts.
Oh,
but
perfect.
Probably sedate party. Probably not lines of Coke in the in the bathroom counter. Not that kind of party.
Why not?
That's just my guess based on the person who's throwing it, who's their personality. Now if I get there and there's lines of Coke in the bathroom, that's a whole different story.
Then I'm in. I am nose first into this stuff.
I'm in. They didn't give me this great big nose for nothing, right? Not meant for me not to be put in white. I've actually never snorted cocaine, so I mean, now's the time to start.
That's not the one. There we go. Bex. Yes. We are bringing back the 80s doubly over. We're going to make it all work. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am going out with my best buddy in the world, Brian. Tonight, we were supposed to get together last night. We are going to hit the town running. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I need to wear 2 pop collars for that because I know I'm going to lose 1 shirt during the course of the night. So I going into the state of the Berne. Actually, I want to ask you this first. Whiny and self-centered. Self-centered, I get. Right, because it's that I want people to be interested in what I have to say, or have a reason to get into the books or move forward into the next book. Where's the whiny come from?
Okay, so this isn't just me. There's a number of indie authors who are trying to make a point of occasionally putting their actual sales numbers and revenue numbers and costs on in public places like Twitter. And sort of saying, I actually had this many KU reads, I made this much money, I sold this many books.
Right.
And the intent is increased transparency. And I think part of it is, as an indie author, I would hate for someone to look at me and think, oh, that's a certain level of success. He must be paying his mortgage with these books. Right? Because
I'm paying for the books with these books.
Someone who didn't know, right? You're laughing, and you should be laughing, right? But someone who didn't know what the industry was like might come in and go, "Oh, he's getting mentions on BookTube. I can see how many reviews he has on Amazon and stuff. This must be enough sales to support a human being, pay their bills." And it's quite the opposite, right? So this interest in transparency, so people understand what a hard gig this is, so people have realistic expectations. Like if you're going to write, if you're going to write an indie book, don't expect to make money the first year. I mean, maybe you will. That's fantastic, but there's a really good chance you won't. I'm saying this to just the generic other person, right? I don't mean anyone specific. So I was trying to explain and put in like my net revenue from the year was part of the video and sort of saying, and this is why I started looking for free ways to give out stories.
Right.
Free to me. This is the motivation. And every time I said, I felt like and I'm not trying to whine about it. I'm trying to be clear. Like, don't want you to feel sorry for me. I'm not having trouble paying my real life bills. I've just reached a point where I'm spending a lot on being an author, to the point where it's maybe not the most responsible use of my money. I don't know how to make it not sound whiny, like, oh, I'm losing thousands of dollars a year. I'm not trying to whine about it. I'm just trying to say, this is the reality. Every time I release, people say, why don't you have audio? I'm like, I'm already in a deep, deep hole, right? Audio would just
you spend an extra $3,000.
Yeah, that's what it is, right? I mean, I have 3 more Hybrid Helix books that I would like audio for. That's $10,000, almost, or 10. It's in that ballpark, and that's like right. And way it looks right now, I wouldn't make that back in sales, at least not short term.
No.
Right? Maybe over 5 years, amortized. Sure, I don't know. I don't know what the sales will look like, but so that's why the magazine started. That's why I started doing a couple more, like the Christmas story, and that was just like, I want to be able to tell a story and make my own cover and have it be silly and fun and give it away for free. And it's like, you know what? It's not the best cover. It's something I whipped together in Canva, and you can take it or leave it, but I'm not charging you for it. So don't complain too hard, because you get a free story, right? So I like that. So it's very liberating, the giving away free stuff. And the same thing with Grim Dwarf.
For people that don't know about the magazine, talk about this for a second, because you and I talked about this last week.
Yeah. Okay. So I had this, I was doing a reread of Berserk, and I really like the serialized nature of the story. You can have like a chapter can be a story starting in most small business. It's true.
Like a restaurant.
Yeah. So I wanted to write a serialized story, but I didn't want to what's the word? I didn't want to commit to another like cover artists and editors and another round of, it's going to cost me another $5,000 to put this book out.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, how can I do it? So, if I'm not going to give you the quality of a professional product, which means I don't want to pay for a professional product, I can't charge you for professional products. So then how do I do it? So I thought, well, maybe I'll make it and I like the idea of doing a serialized thing. I said, I'm going to do my own magazine. I'm going to make my own covers in Canva. And I already have a Story Origins like subscription, so I can use that to distribute and put the link everywhere and give them away for free. And I'll make a Patreon also makes it really easy, because at no cost to me, I can create a Patreon. You can follow my Patreon, and then you don't have to give me money, but you still get an email when I post that the new thing is up. So it's like a super clean distribution method through Patreon that doesn't cost anybody anything. No one ever has to give me money for this whole thing, as long as Patreon maintains the current terms of service. So so that's been a lot of fun. People kind of think it's neat. I mean, so far I don't have a ton of downloads, but every week I'm going to have a new issue, and hopefully every week a couple more people go, oh, what is this? And some of them get hooked on it.
And how many words are you committing to every week?
I'm putting one chapter of my story in it, so that's three. It's between 3,000 and 4,000.
Okay, so one of my questions was, how does this cut into writing on book number
5?
6? Is it 5?
5.
5.
5 of the Hybrid Helix. I mean, it's my 6th book.
5 of the Hybrid Helix, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm including Angry Wusha Mom, which is not the title, but
Yeah. It's going to be tricky. So what I did is I banked 18 chapters of Grim Dwarf, and now I'm going to write book 5 of the Hybrid Helix. Name of the magazine, Chadia, is Grim Dwarf.
Grim Dwarf Magazine.
Dwarf. If you're on Patreon, go to JCM.com.
Where can they find it on Patreon?
I think it's just like at JCM Berne. I think
so if they go on to Patreon and type in JCM Berne, they'll find Grim Dwarf.
Yep, they'll find my Patreon, which that's all that's on there. It's like 2 posts. You can follow it for free, That was important to me. I keep saying, like, don't give me. I mean, if you read it and you love it and you're like, this is fantastic, and I'm really enjoying it. 3 months from now, and you want to throw some money my way, that's fantastic. But no one should be doing that yet. Let's see if you get value out of the thing, then then do what you know. And if you're short on cash and you get, then don't give me, right. That's fine. But I mean, ideally, if I could get enough patrons, I could do things like get nicer covers for Grimdorf magazine. I could use some of the money to finance like an audiobook for my other projects. It would be nice. But I'm not really counting on that right now. I want more readers for that kind of stuff. Yeah, right.
The Durfee method.
I got Patreon pretty much everywhere.
So, but how does that cut into your writing time on book 6?
It just put it off.
Okay.
Right. Like well, part of it is it put it off, and part of it is same thing I found with partial function. There's a little bit of a palate cleanser, and it yeah, Anita. There's only 2 issues of the magazine now. Third one should come out probably tomorrow, but definitely by Monday.
And you should definitely select the highest tier of whatever the Patreon is. If there's $1,000 a week version, you should give that to Joe.
Oh my God.
Really, Joe without a BMW really isn't a Joe at all, folks.
There's this guy who does, like, I think it's Lit RPG, and he has this tiered it's not a Patreon, it's like it's the same thing, but it's through his own website. It's not through Patreon, but it's the same idea. And like, how you put so they always say put like an aspirational tier in. So if I think people will spend maybe $3 or $5, you should put a $10 tier, because someone's going to want that, right? So you put an aspirational tier that you don't really think is worth it to anyone, but just in case it is, and you're like, I'll take you to dinner, whatever it is. You put something in there. This guy hit what I thought was crazy aspirational tiers at like $10. He went up to $5,000 a month, and I'm like, who the heck is giving this dude at $5,000? He'll like fly you out for his convention and eat, like, take you to all the meals with him.
Come on, man.
And I'm like, yeah, because at $5,000 a month, 6 months, right? It's like you have to be there. Hey, that's $30,000 in his pocket. Hey, Zach.
Speaking of guys that know what they're doing.
Yeah, I met Zach.
I can't wait.
One of the highlights. A bunch of guys here, right? Sadir and Zach, I met at Dragon Con this year, which is absolutely one of the highlights of my year.
I was thinking about Zach earlier today, in that I think Zach has the only indie series that I've actually finished, because I read all 3 books. I've read 2 of yours, I've read 2 of Chiaga's, I've read 2 of Ryan's. I don't think there's anybody else that I've read a book 2 of. So, and Zach's hard at work on the next thing. Yeah. And we just got to do Advent of Winter, which was great. Yeah. Awesome. Fantastic. Really cool. Actually, go and pick up Advent of Winter, because some of the stories in there are killer. Sorry, complete detour. So are you okay with Grimdorf taking 3,000 words a week away from book 6?
Yeah, because it's a serialized story, each chapter is almost like its own thing. And that's just much easier to write. So it's a much lower pressure. It's like, he goes to the next town. He's got to punch some skeleton guy in the face. Who's the skeleton guy going to be? Knuckles and Necromancy, right? It's a more pulpy structure. It's a more pulpy story. It has fewer themes that I'm addressing. There's less character. It's, it is my tribute to R.A. Salvatore, which is not necessarily an endorsement.
Well, you can do a lot worse than R.A. Salvatore.
Yeah, but it's meant to be just fun. More so, I think. I mean, with my other stuff, I do try to hit at some themes, some ethical issues, and this one I'm just not. So that makes it easier to write, right? There's fewer, like, when I write a hybrid helix story, I'm always threading multiple plot lines, multiple emotional arcs that are interweaving across multiple characters in every chapter, and that's just hard.
Yeah.
And in Grimdorf, I'm just not.
Well, and Sarah talked you out of doing, extra bonus section 4 for the most recent story, right? Am I allowed to talk about that? Sorry.
Sarah did?
Yeah, wasn't it Sarah Chorn that talked you out of, said, "Oh no, leave this last thing for the next story"?
For the hybrid helix book,
Yeah.
yeah. I was going to put one too many, and she helped talk me. No, you're absolutely right. She absolutely talked me out of going that far, because I always have this fear that the book's going to not have enough stuff going on, so I overstuff them. Which anyone who's read any of my hybrid helix stuff, there's a kitchen sink feeling to it, right? There's just always like a lot of things. There's a lot of things in there.
There's a lot of things, but I never feel like I get lost.
Yeah, well, that's
right?
but
I never get taken off on a bunny trail where I'm like, "What? Why are we down here again?"
But you can imagine that if I lose it just a little bit, you'll get there.
Right.
So that's what I have to guard against. Have I done too many things?
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah. So
well, it's nice to have somebody like Sarah go, "You're fine. You're okay. Relax."
That's really helpful. I mean, Sarah's a great editor, but also wonderful to talk you down from the ledge a little bit. Like,
this sucks. Why?
Yeah. I can tell you it doesn't suck. You're fine. Like, calm down.
So the year 2023 is coming to a close. So what did you actually accomplish this year, Joe?
I know, right? Like,
I mean,
this is why it's funny. Like on some level, I feel like I haven't done much, but I did. I came out with, what did I come out with? Shadows of Hyperion. I have props. I have the books right here. There we go. There's my baby. Shadows of Hyperion. Let's do that. That makes more sense.
I liked his bloody chest.
Yeah, I love this cover.
His chest gets bloodier every cover.
And he gets less clothes. I think I have to do a side pose because his junk's going to show in the next book if I'm not careful.
It's just going to be Rohan and underpants.
And I'm trying to get a snow cover, and I'm like, poor guy. I met and I didn't meet in person, but I connected through Instagram with the actual model.
Oh, the dude?
I don't know, but he's an actor and model, and Chris gets him for photo shoots and then uses the photos as a reference for the paintings. And the guy actually Instagrammed me. It's like, follow me on Instagram. It's like, that's me on those covers, which is, I imagine if you're a model, that's kind of cool, right? Right?
You'd be on the cover of Men's Adventure magazine.
This feels like something Edgar Rice Burroughs might have written if Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote superhero stories, which was...
That's what I liked about it.
That's what I did. I told Chris, I'm like, get me something Frazetta-like, and he's like, all right. So this made me happy. Cover a lot of dinosaur stuff going on, which is because the stories are related. Published 2 books, starting a magazine. I feel like I did. Yeah, I have days like that. I don't know.
Imposter syndrome is real.
Yeah. So then this. So this I wrote very, I got the idea and started writing in a very short period of time last October. So 2022. I want to write an actual fantasy story, and I wanted it for Spiffbo. I had gotten eliminated from Spiffbo, and I'm like, gosh darn it, I'm going to prove to these people I can write a fantasy story, and I'm not going to get it. I'll probably still get eliminated in the first round, but that's okay. But I want to give it an honest shot. And I got the idea for it, and I went from there to the finished idea really fast, and then I wrote it pretty quickly. And then getting it, and then I screwed up the editing slot. So I had an editing slot for Shadow of Hyperion, and I had to get that one done before I could edit this book, which is why it came out when it did. Really, Partial Function should have come out 6 months before Shadow of Hyperion. It would have been more amusing to readers because they share a location.
So you're up to 5 books now.
5 books.
What's the biggest change that you notice between, when Wistful came out, it was to no fanfare whatsoever, and then you went back and changed it.
Yeah.
But so what's the biggest change between what your experience is now to what your experience is like then?
I think I don't want to use the word fanfare, but I will. No, I reached. I mean, I realized, I think, at Dragon Con this year that is Partial Function is standalone. Yes, it is. It may get sequels. It may get 1 or 2 sequels, depending. I have an idea for a sequel, but I don't have any. It's not on the schedule to write, so I don't know when that's going to happen. No, the big difference and the thing that's very motivating is at this point, if I release a book, I've got a bunch of people who say they'll read it, and they will. And that's what I didn't have 2 years. I mean, not, but people who are interested in the book, not people who are like my mom. Actually, the funny part is my mom has not read any of my books, nor has my wife. But when your friend reads it because they're your friend, not really because they want to read the book.
But even your family won't read your books. So
my family won't, my kids. I'm trying to think of anyone in my immediate family who's read my book. I'm like, my wife's cousin read the Hybrid Helix, I think. Geez, very few. So it's kind of funny. But when your friends read it because they're your friend, but it's not really the kind of book. Definitely have my friends who have read my books because they like to read, but they don't really like the sort of book. It's not something they would pick up, and then they don't really care about them other than the fact that they're my friends, and that's nice. Um, yeah, now I'm at the point where, and it's the same thing like Andy, but you talk about the new trilogy coming out, and a bunch of people on Twitter get excited and they're like, we can't wait, and we're looking forward to that. It's not you screaming to the void, will someone please pay attention to this book? I mean, it may not be the level of success that you want. I don't have the level of success that I want.
I don't think anybody does.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Brandon Sanderson's satisfied. I don't know. I can't tell. Jim Butcher, maybe he feels like, I'm good. I don't know. Or maybe he's like wistfully watching Stephen King's numbers.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know Jim Butcher.
Yeah, I feel like always the danger in comparison is that everybody compares up.
Yeah.
Nobody compares down, and so you're left in this hole where it's like it doesn't matter how well you do. You're always like, well, I could be there.
I see someone talk about their goals sometimes on Twitter. I saw a post, and I don't mean to insult this person, but some author said, I had a goal of like selling 1,000 books this year, and I did it. And I'm like, I don't know what that means to have a goal of selling. Like it's super exciting. You sold 1,000 books. That's great, but that's not my goal. My goal is to sell 1,000,000 books. Right? Like 1,000 books would be great, but talk to me when I can buy a nice house with the proceeds from these books. I don't know. Like it's funny because I think we use these words in different ways, right? Like goals, milestones. Maybe he meant a milestone more than a goal. Well, but you don't want to sell 1,000 books and be like, I'm done, right? So, of course.
Did you meet your goals this year? I mean, assuming you had goals, did you meet your goals this year? I mean, only 2 books in a magazine. I don't know what's wrong with you.
Yeah, okay. So there's this, my personal productivity goals. I did everything I set out to do, and then some, right? So I'm very happy. Like I thought Shadowfight Period and Partial Function are both the books I wanted to release. I don't feel like I rushed them, and I should have fixed the second half, and I never got to it. So I met my deadlines and I released both books. So I was pretty pleased with that. And then this was the year where I really felt, and it really hit me all at once, that I had the this is the self-centered part, right? That I had the level of critical engagement that made me happy. Right? There were enough like reviews and people talking about this book on BookTube, and enough where like I would reach out to like a booktuber and say, hey, can I send you a copy of my book? I wrote the science fiction book. And they more often not say, I know who you are, right? Which was not true like 15 months ago. And I really felt like that level of sort of professional recognition, I was pretty happy. Financially is a different story. Yeah, there should be
right down there.
Writing goals. I met my writing goals this year. I felt like I was pretty productive. I mean, would have been nice to write a little more, sure, but generally speaking, I was happy with what I produced this year. I was happy with the books I came out with.
Are your financial goals beatable? I mean, honestly, if you're saying I'll be happy at $1 million,
I lost $7,000 this year.
Okay,
that is, and that is with not doing audio for so my real for 2 books. So really, I would feel very comfortable if my books could pay for themselves and let me release them the way I want to. If I could hire the cover artist I want, get audio done by a quality narrator like Wayne. I'm getting a different narrator for Partial Function because it's a female main character, and she's fantastic. She happens to be a friend of mine, but she's giving me a break on the price, but it's still money. Jasmine Arch. So people are going to like that when it comes out. Um, but you know, so goal. I mean, I'd be thrilled to make $1 million, but like I'd be really happy just to break even, or even just lose just less. I love being able to produce the audio, and I can afford to fund my writing to the tune of a couple grand a year. I just don't want it to be 30, like, because if I'd done the audio, it would have been like 13 grand in the hole.
70.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, true.
I mean, another $3.
Audio for the next two, but no audio, and that's not responsible spending at my income level. Spending 17 grand on a hobby, because that's what this is, right? That's not responsible. Like, you know, we're allowed to have hobbies. I make money. I'm allowed to splurge and buy stuff I don't need, right? Like that's part of being a grown up.
Actually, what you're doing is you're taking away the BMW to replace it with books.
Yeah. I don't want to have to make that choice. So
well, and
I can live with BMW. Don't get me wrong.
One of the things that I always think about with indie writers is one of the things that people don't understand is that really for almost all of us, this is an act of love. Oh my God, Kareem! Da-da-da-da! This is exactly right.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people think, oh, you know, they have that picture in their head of the writer, and he's got the lake cottage and the typewriter, and the eels are waiting in the pond after he goes swimming with the girl after he strips off his underwear. Oh wait, that's Love Actually. But you have this picture in your head of, you know, what a writer's like, and it's nothing like that, right? We're just on the grind, and we're just telling stories because we feel compelled to. There's not a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, right?
That latter part is so important and so overlooked. You know, I hear people say, like, is it worth it? Is it like just something I'm thinking about starting to write? Should I? And the answer is always no. Like don't. It's really hard, and it's not rewarding for almost anyone. But if you have no choice but to write, then by all means, welcome to the club.
Welcome to the club. We will do our best to support you and make you feel okay about yourself. We
will support you and advise you and hug you if required. We will share whiskey with you. But do not say we didn't warn you.
This is what Joe and I do.
And you know, if your heart's in a certain place, you know, you may end up writing something that does make you a ton of money, right? Like if your heart's in lit RPG and you can go on Royal Road and write 5 chapters a week, God bless you. That's fantastic. I wish mine was. I tried it. I'm like, I don't want to do this. So it didn't work out.
One of the other questions that I had going through this real quick was, personally, I am allergic to drama. And the whole Twitter wars thing, the book community, just drives me crazy. So I was just wondering, how many Twitter wars have you been involved in or started recently, Joe?
I don't know if I can take credit for starting any of them. I feel like the thing is, there'll be a Twitter drama and someone will say something, and I will only get in there if I feel like I have something to say that's somewhat different, like a different take on it. I don't spread them just for this. Usually, just for the sake of doing it. Join us in the Thunderdome. No, I actually think I may have had like a significant impact on the SPSFC one.
Yeah,
I think Connor did the work. They're the ones who went through. So anyone who's not aware, SPSFC is a contest. It's like Spiffo, but it's for science fiction books. There's a bunch of judging teams, and of course, they can't like seriously vet the judging. These are all these people are volunteers. They're be made.
They're lending a hand,
right? No money. So, like, you know, if someone says, "Oh, I'll judge the books," like, great, welcome aboard, right? So, one of the judges has a history of tweeting some somewhat objectionable things. I'm not going to go into details. It's not the point. And so they did, and then one of the judges on their team unearthed some of the language on their Facebook page and said, it makes me really uncomfortable because it's maybe not friendly towards a certain group of people. So they very publicly quit, and the team, and then
the team quit.
One person quit first, Chris the Escapist. I think it's Chris, the fictional escapist, Australian person. And then Connor Kaplan, they went on and searched the objectionable the sort of team leaders Twitter history,
Right.
and for the word white, and they just posted screenshots, and I was like, oh, holy crap. Holy crap. So I mean, obviously not every tweet was objectionable, but some of them really were. So then I was like, hey, and I shared it, and I was like, this guy's leading a space fic team. I'm not sure what to do about that. That's literally was my tweet. I was like, I don't know, but this doesn't seem okay. And man, then the storm started. Yeah, yeah. But Connor did the work, which was the search, which I don't think took Connor very long. But yeah, don't tweet things. Well, you tweet whatever you want, but be prepared for
Oh,
people to see them, right? That's the thing, right? People are going to see them, and if
yeah.
so the storm happened and people were attacked. I mean, not physically attacked,
No.
but Twitter attacked, and there were dramas, and there were closed door meetings and of people involved, and the end result was that team quit. I think that the leader was asked to leave, and then the team quit.
The team quit.
In solidarity after repeatedly saying they weren't really in alignment with those particular values of the team leader. They still supported him and quit with him. So I don't know what that means, but
the drama starts happening, and I find a rock to hide under. I'm just like, I can't.
I don't know why. I kind of like it, and I kind of do, at least up to a point. Like there's a point where it'll bother me, but there is a point where I enjoy it. I don't know. Some of the Twitter dramas are just like I started some that were tongue in cheek.
Oh yeah,
every once in a while.
One of the biggest ones was your whole grimdark thing, right?
That wasn't a joke, though. I wasn't saying no one should read grimdark. I was saying, why does anyone read grimdark? That wasn't a war, right? That's
no, it wasn't. It was
your rationale.
But it started this whole conversation, which was hilarious to me. That the magazine is called Grimdwarf.
Yeah. It's not really a grimdark story. Yeah. I just like that name. Everyone likes that name. That name gives me so much credit. People are like, that's a great name. Like, thank you. I don't know how I came up with it, but yeah.
John's just waiting on the ring.
Yeah.
Spring off the side.
This one, the space fic one was intense for a while there. It was just a lot of heat going back and forth.
And all of them are intense, and all of them last for like 4 days. It's just like,
Yeah.
Like, okay, can I come back now? No. Okay.
The good one was the Caitlin, what's her name? The author who made fake Goodreads accounts and that
was almost national news.
It was. No, it was in papers, like real papers, that made international news.
That's just like a crazy thing that's a crazy person act.
And that was her claim, right? That she was having some kind of breakdown.
Right.
And
sorry about my drug and alcohol issues.
Yeah. The apology, not apology.
It wasn't me, folks. It was just all the drugs I was taking.
I don't know how you come back from that, though. Honestly,
I don't think you do.
I don't know what apology would have worked. People are like, that wasn't a good enough apology. I'm like, it wasn't, but what would you have accepted, right? I can't even imagine. So I wasn't involved in that directly, but what did someone say? Someone was like, you all need to stop dumping on this poor woman. Because what else is going to happen? There's no more. She's already lost her career, right? Why keep talking about it? And I'm like, I'm talking about it because I enjoy someone doing crappy things and then getting justice.
Right?
I find it amusing. That's why I'm going to keep talking about it. And they didn't like. I don't think. And then I had some arguments back and forth about that. That was a very small. We can talk about it because we like justice.
Well, and I think both of us can agree, Joe, honestly, that cocaine is usually a positive thing. You can do a lot of great things when you're coked up. Stephen King obviously is a great example. You can make it work for you. It doesn't have to be a problem.
There was a detective novel series I wrote. I remember reading. I forget what it was, but the main character was he always said that he loved like coke. He knew stimulants were his problem because he loved them too much.
Right.
Like, I could totally see myself really enjoying cocaine. Like it's really better off because like I really like caffeine. I like it. Anything that gets me going, gets me energized. I could really definitely enjoy
Yeah,
that.
it was definitely one of those. Maybe I shouldn't try that out.
That's the thing. Maybe I shouldn't, and this is why I haven't. This is why to this day, I stick to my my booze.
So speaking of uppers, what were the upsides and downsides of your year?
Upside was big. Upside was like Dragon Con and that, and then what I said, like that realization that I had a lot of like critics who were like reading my books and appreciating them and like understanding. Melissa, why are they talking about cocaine?
We can talk more about it later, Melissa.
Yeah.
We have a contact for you. There's a phone number you can call.
The big high was the biggest high. The biggest high was meeting people at Dragon Con and that whole experience of just actually talking to, the Dirk Ashtons, the Zach Argyles, Jim Wilbur. I'm not gonna name everyone I met because I'm gonna forget people. I'm saying, I had a decent conversation with Ryan Cahill, and I'm like, damn, like bigger than me in every sense, like a foot taller and much bigger author, but a super nice guy. We just had a phenomenal time. I rode with Michael Michelle, who I had never really interacted with, and he's a great guy.
Quick question about that, because you've said Dragon Con as being one of your big things several times, and was it weird at all for these people who were only kind of theoretical and online to become flesh and blood right in front of you? Or was it just like smoothly moved into a conversation that was already happening?
Yeah, it was just like they were your friends. In almost every case, the people who, for everyone, right? We're just like, oh, okay, and then we had quests. Pippin, Ganesh, he always puts stuff on Twitter as Pippin, the Shire Hobbit, and he's got like this simple mask. Okay, so he came with a suitcase full of books to get signed. Like, indie books, though. He wasn't looking for like Jim Butcher, but he had like a stack this tall of like Ryan Kyle's books, and it was like, we gotta find Ryan. So we're all on our phones. Where is everybody? Because we weren't one big massive 60 people going everywhere together, right?
No.
We spent a lot of time at the bar, but Ryan had panels. He was on a bunch of panels. R. Verdi had a bunch of panels to go to. So these guys were coming and going. We're like, we got to find everybody so we can get signatures. We were all going to the art thing, looking for artists. It was a blast. But no, I didn't find it awkward at all. I mean, you get a bunch of people and you're talking about books and stuff, and then Isabella the Shaggy Shepherd was there, and yeah, I know it was fun. But that's also where I felt like I was in. I deserved to. That's where I felt like I was in the group, right? Like I am in this group. I'm an indie author. No one's like, who are you again? Or
these are my people.
Did you actually write something? Or I haven't heard of it. I didn't have any people like, okay, we may not like your book, but we know who you are. You stay at the bar with us. Oh, I thought that
we may not like your book. You're stupid, but you can go.
You're stupid, but stupid in our way. Travis Baldwin introduced himself to me, which is like the funniest thing that happened to me this year. I'm standing there to like talk to him, and Travis is just the nicest guy. I didn't spend a lot of time with Travis. He was
just that mop of hair.
Yeah, I mean, he was busy. Go figure. It wasn't like he and I were hanging out for a day. But I was waiting just to tell him because I really liked some of the stuff that he's not just his books, but some of the stuff he said in interviews that I found particularly worth saying. And I'm standing there waiting, and he's like, "Oh, hi, I'm Travis," and I'm like, "Dude,
I know.
We all know. Everyone here. We all know you. You don't ever have to say that." It was very fun. He's a very genuinely humble, lovely guy. So
you're stupid, but you look like you might buy us around. Yeah, come on. How much money do you have?
Funny part, I spent the whole Dragon Con at a bar. We didn't drink that much because they couldn't get us drinks fast enough.
Oh, that problem.
So like I would have like a beer every 3 hours, which isn't enough to do anything. Yeah.
Poor service there in Atlanta.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Well, we weren't trying that hard to get drinks either. To be fair, like my goal wasn't to be plastered. I didn't need to be. I was like very in a very great mood without any alcohol.
It's like, there's a bunch of nerds over there. Just show up every hour or two. It'll be fine.
Yeah, but that was the thing. I felt like I was worthy of worthy of being there. I don't know if worthy of being there is the right way to put it, but
You didn't feel like an outsider.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which 3 years ago you probably would have.
Absolutely. And that was the big shift for me. And that was where I felt like I had I will, my writing career so far has been worth it. Right. Like if I, drop dead tomorrow, like my last thought won't be, damn, I wasted time on that writing career that never went anywhere. I can go, all right, it was worth it. It was a worthwhile investment of time and energy. Sense of belonging. That was great. Yeah.
All right, so there's the upside. You got a downside?
The downside was the not getting the sales number, and this is the whiny part, right? The sales numbers. The downside is really just the numbers. I never quite got Amazon ads. Got them to work for a while, but not for longer. And I feel like there's probably an algorithm to making them work better. I've seen some courses, I've taken some courses, but if I spend 10 hours figuring out ads, that's a lot of not writing.
Right.
Right. So part of me is like, I could figure out the ads better, maybe make a little more money, but I'd rather work on the next book and hope that, and just even if I don't ever make money, at least I'll have the books out. Because the goal is not get really good at making Amazon ads and running a profit. That's not my goal. My goal is to have 20 books out in the Hybrid Helix.
Yeah.
Right. And like mastering ads is not getting the 20th book written. Well, the 5th, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then it was I have to try to figure out how do I do this writing career without spending money irresponsibly. And that was part of why I came with Partial Function. Partial Function, I didn't have the same cover artist. I wasn't committed to the same editing team that I had for the Hybrid Helix, who were all expensive. I got a much less expensive cover that still I thought came out great. 20 bucks.
You'll get to it.
Then that was
just be 2034.
Yeah. And that was Grimdorf Magazine. It was, how can I get stories out there without costing me money out of pocket? And if people are wondering why are you doing a free magazine with a camera cover? And the answer is $7,000 I lost this year, right? That I don't even know if I can keep putting out 7 a year. I think at some point, it's about what's a responsible spending habit.
Well, and don't you feel like the further you go, the easier it is to have a book be more like each time? Isn't the book a little bit more successful? And Partial Function or Angry Wushua Mom gives people a new on-ramp, right? So it gives them an opportunity to try out Joe without necessarily needing to go, oh, well, do I want to read 5 books in a series? Don't worry. They're all standalones, more or less. But is that your feeling? Is that your experience?
I think so. I mean, maybe I'll have a better year next year and I'll break even. Like, right. I don't know, like I'll have more books out. Hopefully Partial Function will be in Spiffbo. Spiffbo brings a lot of attention to things. If it does well there, that would be even better. I mean, who knows? Right? Lots of things could happen. I'm still in the running in Spacefic because Spacefic will take a book twice if it gets eliminated in the first round. So I'm in this year's with Blissful Ascending.
Okay.
I'm in the quarterfinals. I'm a quarter.
Good.
So I'm not cut yet. So, and I've gotten some positive reviews from judges on its team. So I'm up against Connor Kaplan's book,
wow.
which is not good for me. That's people love that book. So I can't remember the name of the book.
All depends on what people are in the mood for.
Yeah.
So we've got like 1 day left in the year.
Yeah.
And both of us are going to spend it flat on our backs trying to make the ceiling stop spinning. So what's the plan for 2024? What are the goals there?
The big goal is to try to keep Grimdorf running, and that means formatting and putting out an issue every week, which means like doing all the editing, writing a little letter from the editor thing, and trying to do that in a manageable way. Because if that takes like a whole day, I'm screwed. Like I can't keep up that pace.
Right.
If I can do that in 2 or 3 hours, which I think I can, that's doable, right? Then I can, maybe some Sundays take a whole day and bank 3 issues.
Okay.
Because I really want to keep that. I really like the idea of a serialized story where you read a chapter and you're like, next week, next chapter.
Right.
Like the way we watched TV when we were kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really like that idea and I want to make it work. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. And then I'm going to probably collect a bunch of the Grim Dwarf, my story, and release that as an ebook.
Right.
But just mine. So people give me permission to put their stories in the magazine. They're not giving me permission to put their stories anywhere else.
Right.
So, and I can't sell their stories. So that's the upfront, legality of it.
I bet they give you permission for a Grim Dwarf compendium.
Yeah, I might one day. I might want to make an anthology of the other stories. If people ask for that stuff, that's different, right? Like I've gotten almost no feedback so far. I mean, 2 issues are out. That's totally understandable. But people say we want this. I'm like, okay, I'll do what people want. I'm not too good to take requests. So yeah.
Number 1 is keep Grim Dwarf churning.
Yeah.
Which means 52 weeks, which means 150,000 words.
Yeah.
Somewhere around in there.
But a big chunk of that's written already.
Yeah.
Because I already have 16 unreleased chapters are still in a Word document on my desktop. So that's a third of that.
Okay. So there's Grim Dwarf. What else you got?
Yeah, I got to get Hybrid Helix number 5, Eyes of Empire. I already have a slot with an editor. This is how I make myself write. This is a terrible idea. Folks, don't do this at home. I book a slot with an editor with a down payment that's, 4-figure down payment. And then I don't have the book written yet. And then I have to write the book in time to get it to her for my line editing. This is a terrible idea, but I did it for Shadow of Hyperion. I think I did it for Blood Reunion too, and it worked both times. So lights a fire under my butt.
Yeah. I feel like one of the big things about being a writer is meeting the deadlines. That's the difference between a professional and an amateur. And, eventually you're going to be forced to do it anyway. So might as well make it happen now.
Yeah, I feel like people respond really differently to that sort of thing. Right? Like I feel like there are probably people who would people who having an imminent deadline will make them work better, and people who will make them work worse. Mm-hmm. And like as a human, as a worker, you have to figure out who you are, right? Not every writer. I would not say this is like a good plan for especially not a new writer. Like I wouldn't do this on my first book, but it's my 6th book, right? In the last, 4 years. So like I know what I'm doing. I know what kind of effort it takes to pump out 120,000 words. I've done it a bunch of times. So like, it'll be all right. So yeah. And then honestly, I want to get Hybrid Helix 6 out this year. Suppression of Powers. I do not have a completed outline for that, but I have a bunch of it. I'd like to get those 2 out this year, and I want to start accelerating the pace a little bit because I want to get to the end. So before I die,
How far along is number 5?
It is outlined. I haven't written a word.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to publish 2 books from 0 in the course of the next 12 months.
I have enough of Eyes of Empire in my head and in the outline.
Okay.
So, for example, Shadow of Hyperion, when I had this much in my head for Shadow of Hyperion, writing the book took me 51 days.
Right.
But I can't count how many dozens of hours I've spent thinking about it, or hundreds of hours. And you have a full-time
I feel
job.
like this is a valid question. Do you have a full-time job, Joe? Or do you have one of those jobs where you work 3 hours a day?
I work from home, so I save a lot of commuting time. So honestly, it's like 3 hours a day that I'm not on a train.
Right.
But also like I'm the kind of person I'll be thinking about my books all the time. Like I'm in the shower, I'm thinking about like how to make a certain scene work. I'm like doing exercising, I'm trying to think about how to make like a certain scene work, right? I'm driving, trying to think about how to make a certain scene work. So,
What showers are for.
huh?
That's what showers are for.
I used to say about my YouTube. Oh, that's the other thing I did this year. I started a YouTube channel.
Right.
I made 17 videos or so, or 20 videos. I forget. But I think about a shower as a unit of time for mental energy. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many It's not how many hours did you spend thinking about this video. It's how many showers did you spend thinking about this video before you actually recorded it.
I
So
love
like
that.
this is a one shower video, but that other video that was complicated. It was like a 2 shower video, to come up with all the nuances for that argument. Hey, it's Dan. Yeah, working from home really helps. And my wife works a ridiculous amount of extra shifts. She's a physician. She tends to work a lot of weekends, so I have a lot of time where no one really cares what else I'm doing.
Right.
And and my kids are older. Right, my daughter's 20. Jesus, sorry. Yeah, she's 20.
As soon as she left the house, you have no idea how old she is anymore.
She's 20. My son's 15. So it's totally different when they're that age. You're not
Born 2013, so something somewhere around there.
Yeah, but you're not. They don't need you to like fix them a sandwich, right? It's like I'm hungry. Okay, make yourself a sandwich, right?
Damn it.
And I don't have full custody, right? I'm only with them like occasionally. So like life is easier in terms of time than it is. I'm 50. I'm almost 53. So like 10 years ago it was different.
Right.
Kids were littler. My son was 5. Right when I had my son, I had to like watch him. But he's at 15. It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was one of Kay's questions, right? How do you write so fast?
Yeah, having available hours is a big step in the right direction.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is the support, right? I'm always like, if I go to bed at night, I'm lying in bed, I'm thinking about the book.
Mm-hmm.
Next morning, it's like, okay, I've got stuff to work on. I've got stuff I thought about, I can make that last scene work better. I edit that last scene, I fix it up, I go to the next scene. It's a lot of hours of thought that aren't in front of
that aren't in front of you. And you do a thing where you come back in and look at what you did yesterday and start by revising that and then move on to the next chapter, right?
I really like that system. I know lots of people say, write your rough draft, just start at the beginning and write until it's done, never go back. I cannot do it that way. It does not work for me. I need it cleaner. I need to constantly be reworking the early stuff if I think, I should foreshadow this, I have to go and do it. Mm-hmm. So that when I write the thing I'm foreshadowing, it feels exactly right because I know exactly how I foreshadow. That's just my work process.
Right.
And I certainly wouldn't tell other people not to do it that way. But yeah, I got that from Steven Erickson, that whole edit what you did the day before.
Mm-hmm.
And then move on from there. I'm not saying he invented it, but that's where I heard it. And I was like, I got to try that. And it really works for me. So, yeah.
Well, so, I mean, this gets us to a point where we've got a state of the burn.
We got a state of the burn, yeah. So what's on tap. And if partial function does well in SPIFFO, I may be tempted to write partial function 2 and push off the hybrid helix 6.
Yeah, and you'll know by October or somewhere around in there.
I might even know earlier. It just depends on what kind of buzz it gets.
Right.
If any, right? Because, there's books that got into SPIFFO that everybody's talking about in like July.
Right.
And I don't know what if I knew how to make that happen, I would, but I don't. But so I don't know if partial function will be that book for this year. I would like it to be, but I'm not saying it will. But if it is, that'll make me really tempted to come up with a book because I have an idea for book 2, which took me like a year to come up with because I wrote partial function as a standalone. And then for a whole year, I was like, I really can't think of a way to follow this up that's going to do justice to the storyline and the writing style. And then, like, literally, just as it was about to come out, I had an idea in the car, and on the way to Maryland. So I came up. So I have a plan for the partial function sequel. I have a title. I've got a plan.
And, you got 3 books competing for space in your head right now.
3 is probably too many. 3 is probably too many. Yeah. I have to go and reread partial function because I have to edit the audio as it comes And going from that to Grim Dwarf to Hybrid Helix in the same couple days is going to be difficult. But that's okay.
Yeah, you'll figure it out.
Figure it out.
You're crushing it. You have no problem with production, man. You just flying your way through it.
I seem to be. I don't know how that happened, but
well, I think it's the old thing of if you want to write, and those muscles start developing, and now you're at the point where you're like, yeah, give me 4 months, I could give you a book.
That is it, right? Like that was not how Wistful Sending happened.
Right.
Right. Like, you know, people are new writers and they see this and they're like, oh, well, that's what it takes. You can write a book in 3 months. And I'm like, first of all, I don't write a book in 3 months. I write a book in 3 months after thinking about it for 6.
Right.
After
so
looking. You got to count the 9 months. And then, you know, and then you haven't done this. You're not going to go right from never writing a book to, yes, I just chunked out 120,000 words that look good.
Right.
You know, in one step. But write 5 books first. And then, sure, you know, it gets
You've been going on that treadmill long enough. I just like Raph's comment. It was Spooky Dude said, "Oops, I made an epic fantasy." It's just like, hey, it's accidental.
Yeah.
That's what Homer did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I have got to jump ship because
Yes.
Bonnie is at the bar right now waiting for me.
Oh man, you should go.
But I'm thrilled that we got the opportunity to chat. You and I chat a lot, not in front of everybody else, but
they don't know how glad they should be.
You don't want to see real conversations, folks. This is television.
No gloves. No filters. Thank you so much for doing this. You made it so much.
Oh yeah, you know I love you, and you know I would gladly do anything like this. And I think you're right. I think it's really hard to try and say, oh, this is what I'm doing, and this is what I'm hoping for, and this is, you know, what went well and what didn't go well when it's just you. And you know, I'll talk to you any minute of any day.
Thank you.
So I feel like. I don't know. You need another State of the Burn sometime soon. Let me know. I'll be there for you.
And at 12 months.
Oh, 12 months. I'm doing a check-in. Oh, yeah. Next December 30th, we're going to do this again. And we're going to see if you wrote 3 books and Grimdorf magazine.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure.
Stretch goals, baby. Stretch goals. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you in a bit. Ciao, man.
Thanks for
so much for coming.